catch a mess, through the pain, through the hurt. Just wanted to catch a mess, keep on hustling, putting work. Just wanted to catch a mess, stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that. Catch a mess, through the pain, through the hurt. Just wanted to catch a mess, keep on hustling, putting work. Just wanted to catch a mess, stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that.
I look around like where the good times at. I just wanna bring the good times back. And if the good die young, why am I still alive? Maybe I deserve that fact. And the stars only shine when the dark come. Got me think about where I got my start from. We the new breed, who are we? We the lost ones. We the generation that embrace it like an art form. Here we go. And if you sitting in the tight spot, then you in the right spot. Man, I swear to God, I done been there. One shot like stop. Shot I lost a lot of homies that were here and they vanished in the same air. Yeah, it's like a roll of the dice. Pay the ultimate price. So do you stand up and fight? Do you throw in the towel and say, faith, I'm out, or stand tall and prepare for the fight of your life? See me, I still battle with a...
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Survivor Series, and I'm your host, Higgy. The Survivor Series is my attempt to create a ripple effect of hope and inspiration in our communities by showcasing testimonies of people that have stepped out of the shadows to where their pain has purpose and help them step into the life that they've always lived. I have some amazing guests today. My brothers from Knockin' Doors Down, Jason LaChance, and Daniel, unmanageable from Hard Knox. What's up, everybody? What's up, guys? Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. It's your birthday. I won't miss it for anything.
It's your birthday.
Happy birthday.
I really haven't even thought about celebrating a birthday for a really long time. And this year, something changed within me, and I really feel very alive right now. And I want to thank you guys for being an integral part of my growth, my recovery process. I want to thank you guys for helping keep me clean and sober today. So thank you for being here, guys.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure, man. And I could tell your text messages lately have had a lot of different connotation to them in a very positive way. And I'm loving it, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Daniel, I need to get your number as well. We can communicate through WhatsApp. So one by one, I'd like for you guys to introduce yourself to my audience. And we'll start with Daniel in my upper right-hand corner. First off, if you're catching us live, you'll see the live button right here. Drop a hashtag live. Let us know where you're watching from. If this button is not here, you're catching the replay. Drop a hashtag replay and let us know where you're watching from. And with that, I'd like to put Daniel up here. Daniel, please introduce yourself in your platforms and what your mission is for doing recovery advocacy.
Awesome. Well, my name is Daniel Hearn. I go by Daniel Unmanageable on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm a person of lived experience with substance use disorder. I've been free from my active addiction for over 5.5 years now. I'm a welder by trade. I didn't know how to, a year and a half ago, I didn't know how to open a Word document. And now I'm a live streaming talk show host and producer. So if you ever, if I could give you a piece of advice, if you're new coming in, I would say, I don't expect you know what your future is going to look like. I did not see this coming.
So true. You know, the path that we're on, it opens up many doors, windows, avenues for us to be of service in one form, fashion, or another. And in being a service to others, we're being a service to ourselves as well. So I'd like to bring up my buddy, Jason LaChance from California. Please, brother, introduce yourself.
Yeah, Higgy said, Jason LaChance, host of the Knockin' Doors Down podcast. Started this with a gentleman named Carlos Vieira. He actually put out an autobiography of the same title. That's how we get the title for the podcast. Speaking with celebrities, experts, everyday people about their mental health and addiction struggles and the process of what they did to overcome it, get on the other side, and live purposeful lives where they can give back. And, of course, I am in recovery. I'm coming up on 2 years, February 15th. I unfortunately had a relapse during the pandemic. But yeah, I myself suffer from some anxiety, depression, these other things. So it's a great opportunity to open up the floor and get some of these conversations going. Let us know we don't have to carry any shame or worry about a stigma around this stuff. And we get open, we get honest, we get help, and we help others. And I'm blessed to do it.
Absolutely. And I really like getting the three of us on here for the simple fact we're used to extracting the story from other people. So it's an opportunity for us to interact with each other. And I think there's a real value in this. And then the cross promotion as well. I support these guys. As men, family men, men in recovery, and men that are on the same path as me with the same mission, because the Survivor Series is about the same things. We showcase inspirational testimonies, and that comes in all forms. Anything that adds value to someone's life and offers them hope, inspiration, education, or awareness, I'm about it. So thank you guys for being here. Well, we had talked about topics for today, and I decided we'd talk about defining moments, and I would like to get your take on what a defining moment is, what it was like when it happened. Was there something that was pivotal in your life that changed you one way or another? Because I really think defining moments can be good and bad. And it's all based upon our self-worth and our perception at that given moment. So I'll start with you, Daniel. Well, what are your thoughts on defining moments? And have you had what some of those were for you?
A defining moment to me is when we're presented with an opportunity to make a decision that no one can make for us. For me, a defining moment was when my son was apprehended, when I was in my active addiction. Now, the defining moment wasn't necessarily the day that the social workers and the police officers came into my home and took him, but the day was a couple of months later when I was offered the opportunity to make a better decision. And I took it, and I went into detox, and I went into treatment. And it took 6 months of recovery and hard work. And I had my son awarded back to me, and he's been in my care ever since.
That's a beautiful story, brother. Beautiful story. That addiction is a family disease, and recovery is the solution. Mm-hmm. And it adds so much value to our lives individually and throughout our family. It creates that ripple effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about you, Jason? What are your thoughts on defining moments?
I think for me, and granted, relapse being a part of my addiction, not my recovery, but it was something that I was allowed to really, it happened for me for a good cause. Cause the one area that I wasn't doing the work in, especially was boundaries, and not just boundaries with other people, but with myself. And, after that last relapse, it gave me a really good opportunity to examine who I was being, what I was being, look at my own hypocrisies, and really just, I remember looking in the mirror, just being broken down and examining, is this what you want to be as a father? Is this what you want to be, hopefully finding a partner in life and having a positive relationship, and come the end of life, looking back and going, did I do more good than harm? Was I being of service to others? And so for me, it was very pivotal. The word I can't say right now. It was a necessary thing, I think, and I feel blessed for it. I know when I've spoken at high schools and stuff, and they go, why do you say you're a grateful addict? And that's always an interesting question I get every time. It really helped to find that I can take all the hurt and everything else and transform it into something else, and see myself different, see the world different, see my purpose different.
Absolutely. I agree with that 1,000%. I think my most defining moment was when I ended up in prison. I had a history of county jails and detoxes and treatment centers, but I got involved in some criminal activity, and I was indicted on 34 felonies. And they wanted to give me 44 years at that point. I made a plea agreement for 5 years, and I went to prison, and they gave me a judicial release to go to treatment, which I was very surprised and grateful for. And during that time, I had to detox and get clean in county jail, and then face myself in prison, surrounded by all sorts of criminals of every variety. And actually that put me on the path to where I needed to be spiritually, physically, and mentally. Because once I got released, I got involved with a mentoring program for ex-offenders, because I thought my life was over. I was a convicted felon. I didn't have any violent or sexual charges. It was all stemming from drug possession, stealing, forgery, and using stolen credit cards. So I got involved with a mentoring program because I had no guidance. And from there, I ended up volunteering for a community action agency, which put me in a position to help other people. And that's put me on the path to where I am today. I worked in human services for 12 years now at this point, in various aspects. I've worked in the medical field as well. But just that finding myself in prison, where at a later age in life, I think I was 40, 41 at the time when I went to prison, and things changed for me in this process. You know, we get caught up in the doom and gloom of situations and not realize we don't see the bigger picture. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're so wrapped up in addicted to our own BS and our next fix that it's hard to see anything around us. It's hard to enjoy a sunset. It's hard to see a purpose. It's hard to see a future.
Awesome.
For me also, it's hard to experience anything other than what you know. We know that anxiety, we know that depression, we know the fear, and to venture outside of that, sometimes that is a new fear all on its own. And a lot of people have a lot of struggle facing that. I know I did.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you, Alexis. I love you.
I saw, I think it was Chelly put up about the spiritual battle. And I know that was huge for me. Because I believed in a higher power. I just didn't believe there was one that loved me or had a purpose for me. So I agree with her on that. That was something that for me, it took a while to come to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Coming to the realization that there is a higher power that's watching over us, governing things, letting things happen to us, to teach us, to move through. Mm-hmm. And the spiritual piece to recovery is very important to me. And I'm not a religious person. I have a personal relationship with my higher power. And there's many ways to connect through to your higher power. And people get caught up on the religious thing, and the word God. Did you guys struggle with that as well? Phoenix Fire in the background.
For me, I grew up, I was baptized Catholic, went to Catholic school, and I think it was a lot of the dogma that I struggled with, more the religious side as opposed to the spiritual side. And my sponsor now, he's amazing. He might be watching. Just a wonderful person, and he said it best. It was, it's the God you do business with, and I've switched it to the God I do business for. There's something about just the way he spoke to me that it's kind of like, oh, it doesn't have to fit in this box of religion, and it can be my own thing. It's an internal thing. It's not an external thing. And so once I kind of started to realize all this stuff is, as I say, Higgy, no outside solutions to inside problems. That's right. Which I think I lifted that from Greg Champion. I can't remember. But and I started to connect with different people like you gentlemen, and so many different people that it gave me that sense of community, and that sense of community helped me feel this thing inside of purpose. And it's like, oh, this is what it is. It's the answering a text or a call or whatever, a DM. and just being there for someone. And so for me, that's really where I started to feel just that I was connected, that there was some spiritual something flowing out of me that was greater than me, that I don't understand. I don't have to understand. I can just embrace.
Absolutely. I tagged their platforms in the comments. Knocking Doors Down and Hard Knox Talks. I don't know if you can click that while we're live, but afterwards just tap on that and please give these guys a like and a follow. They're doing amazing work.
It's interesting when we're talking about coming to believe. Like, I'm a program guy. I'm not, I am absolutely not anonymous. And if there's anyone out there that wants to rag on me for blowing my anonymity, then put it in the chat or call your sponsor or whatever.
Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor.
And by no means do I think it's the only way. So if you're thinking I'm that asshole, that's not true either. But anyways, we're talking about coming to believe, right? We're coming to talk about our understanding of a higher power. And that brings me into my thoughts on step 2, right? And I believe there's 3 parts of this. One is coming to believe that there's a higher power, something that loves you and wants you to do better. The second part is you have to believe that you're not that. And the third part for me is that if I'm going to admit that something can restore me to sanity, I have to admit that I am in fact insane.
Absolutely.
So those are my thoughts on that part of the conversation. I hope they made sense.
That's a little insane, but okay.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right, though, Daniel. I mean, I didn't know what the hell it meant when it was you will be restored to sanity. And I think, I've had those moments. I'm sure you gentlemen have, and others, where it's just you do the next right thing. You get presented with the stuff. Higgy knows this story where I was working an event, got served a drink, and the brain immediately ran the course of how I could get away with it, and it ended up in the garbage because I knew I wouldn't get away with it. I knew where it would go. And I think that, when we start to get those moments, it's like, oh, this stuff really works. It works if you work it. Okay, I see it. I see it in effect. I see it in action. Because we're gonna get tested. We just are. It's how it goes.
You were able to practice the pause and make an informed and educated decision on where this path would take you, and you made the right choice. So that's a very, very powerful point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one time I was thankful for anxiety because my anxiety went through the roof.
The one and only time.
What is this telling me? Okay, this is what it's telling me.
Yeah. The other day I went to an event here. I recently became a member of the Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce. It's a business community and it's a network.
Saskatoon, where is that?
Saskatoon, we're up in Canada, don't you know?
Don't you know?
Oh. Yeah. Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So, but I went to this event, first one ever, and I've stayed pretty close to the recovery community and other people that are in recovery or other people that are healing from different things. That has become my life. I deal with a lot of the nonprofits in town. They're also serving community. You get into that bubble. So when I go into this new community that's sort of external from that, it's a business community and it's in a brewery, not the organization, but the event was in a brewery. And the thing that I noticed wasn't that everyone was drinking, because they were, and I did notice that, but the thing that I noticed the most is because the old me, and I'm talking about maybe fresher in my recovery, I would have gone in there and every single person in that room would have known I am in recovery. I don't drink, So it stopped becoming, at some point, it stopped becoming about Dan the addict. And it started becoming about Dan the human being living a fulfilling life. And I noticed that when I was about halfway through, is that nobody in this room knows that I'm a person in recovery, and I don't really have any desire to make that abundantly obvious.
No.
Yeah.
And that was like a moment. That was one of those moments for me. We're talking about these pivotal moments, and it's something so little, like a little tiny thing to most people. That was big for me. I will remember that moment.
That's empowering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. I've had some of those situations, and I definitely have noticed it's shifted to the no, I'm in recovery to no thanks, and it's enough. It's enough. I don't know an explanation, and I over-explain. So it's
exactly.
It's a nice shift in just the mentality and just how you see yourself. I'm just a person here, and like you said, living the best life that I can, and this is how I do it.
Yeah, we're doing our recovery uncut and raw, just like we used to like to do our drinking and using of substances, right?
Is it ever really uncut though? Like, I don't know if that's actually a thing, especially up in Canada. We're a long ways from down south, if you know what I'm saying.
It just keeps getting packed more and more.
Yeah. Maybe that saved my life. Who knows?
Exactly. I know it probably did me as well. So, you guys got any projects going on that you want to talk about? The things that are going on in your community? What are the most pressing issues that you see in your communities today?
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, Higgy, of course, you're on an upcoming episode for the Don't Hide the Scars podcast. I also work for an amazing nonprofit called Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need. I should probably tag it here too in my post. But yeah, we've our founder Flynn Anderson actually is in with legislators and stuff, and we're really excited that we just got passed here in California. Granted, I think the max is 6 million. An initiative on fentanyl education, and Jim Patterson, who's the assembly member in Fresno, California, was really heading this up. And we're amazed that it got signed off. We weren't expecting it, and Newsom to sign this off just because of his track record. I won't get too political. But yeah, I mean, it's a very exciting time for us that, okay, the state is starting to take notice that, yes, I get, everything with COVID, there's a lot of serious things and issues that have affected people and losses and stuff like this. But we're losing hundreds of thousands a year between the United States and Canada. And fentanyl is that number one killer now here. It's 16 to 40, I think, in the United States. I don't remember the age demographic.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah. And, when are we going to take this notice? When are we going to educate on this? Where's those PSAs? Where's those billboards? We have billboards in Fresno because the DA and the DEA and the city and the county have paid for them. But where's that with our state? Where's that with our country? Where's that with both of our countries? Where's that globally? This is a real issue. And it's like anything. We've all gone to a dealer or whatever. They target us, and they're targeting our youth. And Absolutely. We've got to take this serious, and we've got to get people educated, and we've got to let parents know, ask the questions, be invasive, be a parent, not a friend. Worry about being your child's peer when they grow up and they get out there. Be in their business, because you'd much rather have them show up at 24 thanking you at Christmas than seeing their picture sitting on the piano because you buried them. And
Absolutely. I totally believe that it's easier to build a healthy child than to repair a broken man.
Yeah, agreed.
Thoughts, Daniel?
No, I'm really resonating deeply with what Jason is saying. I mean, I'm a parent in recovery myself, and personally on my journey, I was craving alcohol well before my first drink, and it's not because I grew up in an active addiction type home. I mean, my father is an alcoholic, but he was into recovery by the time I came along. So when I think about that, and I think about my children, I wonder, like, is the switch already flipped? So and how can I raise him with the awareness of what could happen as a result of some poor decisions? And it's getting more and more dangerous all the time. Up here in my town, I mean, I've been really fortunate to be a part of a number of projects. Some of my partners include Mom Stop the Harm, which is a harm reduction advocacy group up here in Canada. They are very, very loud about harm reduction practices and about, like preparing our youth. We can't stop it from happening. And that's one of the most painful things that a parent has to face, especially a parent that is well versed in the lived experience.
Absolutely.
So Yeah, the Elizabeth Fry Society is another one of my supporters. Prairie Harm Reduction is another one of my supporters, and also Prairie Sky Recovery Center, and they're a 12-step based group. So I'm really quite honored that I have all of these supporters bringing their voices to the table here, because as you well know, and there tends to be a divide between the abstinence-based communities and the harm reduction-based communities. Now, perhaps that line is starting to be a little bit blurred, but for it to become obvious that line is being blurred so heavily on my platform, just by looking at the people that are in the organizations that are supporting us, I mean, that's really meaningful to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because the death toll keeps rising, and we're the ones being the voice for this. We're raising awareness. We're offering support, guidance, resources, all of these things. It's a damn shame that the government is not as proactive as we are. You know, we see the death and destruction that addiction causes, and mental health and trauma, suicidal ideations. It's such a complicated, intricate cohesion of multiple problems that makes addiction so hard to tackle at times, you know, getting your correct diagnosis and whatnot. And getting back to the harm reduction, I support harm reduction because it's impossible to recover when you're dead, right? We need to keep people alive long enough that they have an opportunity to recover, have an opportunity to put themselves back together. And it's just, people will argue over anything. You know what I mean? Like their opinion is more valid than mine or a group. And the stigma and the hate, it needs to be taken out of the equation. Let's all get on board with saving lives, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I wasn't against, but I wasn't on board with harm reduction at first until I really got educated, you know. People like Daniel, the work you're doing, I'm sure you maybe know or have heard Guy Felicella talk.
He was just on my show last Sunday.
I love him.
Great guest. He was a great guest.
Yeah, he was
an amazing person, amazing story. And without it, you know, he wouldn't be where he is now. A guy that was on the streets, I think it was near 2 decades. So really getting more educated about harm reduction if it's done right. And you guys know, like I do, if a place is open 9 to 5, I don't know. I was never a morning drinker, a day drinker, or a morning or day drug user. But if you close at 5 o'clock, well, you know, so I think it's there still needs to be more reform there for sure. But people need to really understand what we mean when we say harm reduction. I think the way it's painted in the media a lot is really irresponsible, you know. But I think that the government, whatever's running these agencies, need to get a little more hip to how it exactly works for the addict. And I don't think they do at this point. All of them, I don't know. I still need to continue to watch as it grows and more work is done in that area, because we need to save lives. And like you said, we can't save a dead person.
That's right. What else you guys want to talk about?
Well, I mean, I could add a little bit to what Jason was saying there about how the media is representing harm reduction strategies. You know, a little while ago, I addressed the police commission up here. It's interesting, like how politicians are. Hey, they were deciding if they wanted to think about harm reduction. Should we think about thinking about this? I don't know. Let's talk to Dan.
Well, let's go to committee.
Pre-contemplation.
Yeah. So
let's form a committee first.
And they did. So I addressed them and I said my thing. I had a little speech prepared and I was, you know, and they recorded the audio and the audio ended up on the 6 o'clock news here in Saskatoon. And I was like, nice. Oh, that's wonderful. So, however, during the time that they were playing my audio, they displayed a picture of me from back in the day where I was going like, you know, like being crazy because I'm crazy. So, but there was a plethora of pictures they could have chosen from, but they chose that one. And and alongside that picture, while my audio was playing on the news, they were displaying people using intravenous drugs in back alleys and things like that. So the stigma attached to those images is like they're trying to showcase the problem while I'm trying to talk about the solution, you know?
Sure.
So, and then,
counterproductive for sure.
well, and it sort of lit my fire, you know, when it comes to building my own platform here with Hard Knox Talks and now with Phoenix Fire as well. We're doing our very best to build an unbiased platform for the voices of lived experience with substance use, you know, so that this doesn't happen. I mean, stories have the power to save lives. I know, Higgy, you don't like the word story, but too bad. That's my punchline. You know,
I use it interchangeably.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe when we do some rebranding, we'll think about what Higgy said.
Probably not.
But you know, Daniel, as someone that worked in media for 20 years, I've just been appalled at the irresponsibility over the last 3 years or so of how situations have been handled in the media. Because like you said, the problem gets the ratings. You know, a lot of media, you know, it's a business and they need to get ratings, and those ratings go to get advertisers, and that's how they stay afloat. And it's really unfortunate because that's how the mass majority of people get their information. And I'm not going to call it disinformation, but they'll put a slant to it that is just to draw people in, and paranoia and fear draw people in like no other. And it's really unfortunate, but that's why there's gentlemen like ourselves, these wonderful organizations, foundations out here that are really just trying to give people the solution-based facts. And, you know, it's hard to get it out there and really get people's attention, but it's necessary. We need to.
Yeah, our testimonies have power, right? Because our stories are based on real life events. People that share their deepest, darkest moments in the hopes of encouraging someone else. I think that's so powerful, because being a living example, because I'm like most people, I listen with my eyes, what I see, because I've gotten attuned to tuning people out and their words. Show me what you're about. Don't tell me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
in your former lives, what did you guys do before you got to this point in your life? Daniel, what was your occupation? What were you doing in life before you accepted your role in this movement we have going on?
Well, I mean, I started my career as a welder. I started welding at 16 years old. And I held it together till I was about 34, actually, but like I was already deep in my addiction by then. I owned a welding company, and then, you know, that burned to the ground. And then I ran a welding truck here in town for another company, and then they couldn't put up with me anymore. And I ended up dumpster diving for a couple of years. Yeah. I had this meth-induced vision in my head that I was going to be some big successful recycling company, and I was going to have contracts with all the big organizations in town that only I was allowed to go through their dumpsters, you know, like I was the only one that had a key to the dumpsters. Everyone in town, the world will be mine. You know? So that was my idea. So, but all I ever did was make enough money to get the drugs I needed, to stay up all night to get the garbage I needed, to make the money I needed, to stay up all night to get the drugs, to get the, you know what I mean? So it was just an endless cycle of me just feeding my habit. I never actually got ahead at anything. So yeah.
Dumpster diving. I've done my fair share of that in a meth-induced psychosis as
Trash
well.
can Dan.
I just picture you popping out like Grover.
Yeah.
No one? Okay.
I was standing in the middle of a dumpster, and this guy walks his family over and points at me and says, "Look, somebody threw away a perfectly good white boy." I felt so much shame and guilt. Then I went back to what I was doing.
You know what? I just want to bring attention to this right now. I know this is like an American production, right? So like, and here I am, the Canadian, and I'm drinking Tim Hortons, and I just think that's amazing. Like that might not make sense to you down there, but Tim Hortons is a big Canadian brand. And I just feel a little extra Canadian right now. That's all. I wanted to bring a little awareness to that. Got the old Timmy's, don't you know?
Don't you
awesome.
know? Don't you know?
I mean, if you're gonna play a little puck after this, and you know, maybe that'd be really, really Canadian.
I'm not that Canadian.
Not that Canadian.
I will be playing no puck.
Well, you are from the area of Rowdy Piper, so that's something that's pretty significant, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Gravedigger actually, or no, the Undertaker. Sorry, Undertaker, the WWF wrestler from back in the day. He was from Saskatoon.
No kidding.
Was he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I went to the same high school he did. Like I didn't, not with him. Like he was in that high school well before I was. But
I thought Mark Calloway was from Texas. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Maybe I'm completely wrong.
Yeah,
Maybe that's just an urban legend.
Urban legend. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he ended up in Canada. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't
know. I'd worked in radio primarily for 20 years, did some TV work, some commercial acting, stuff like that. But yeah, it was a call of the rock and roll. And I was kind of a late bloomer with my stuff. I didn't really drink. I think the first time I really had a couple drinks was maybe 20, because I grew up in the home of addiction. So I saw it, didn't want to be the good boy for mom. I was the guy that got the drunk people and stone people home from parties and, all that, make sure the girls that were friends of mine or in general didn't get taken advantage of. And, so I was a pretty good guy, but once I kind of landed where I live now and it's small town, radio was still a big deal everywhere you went, everybody wanted to buy you drinks. And I think I got really wrapped up in that ego side and playing a character as opposed to being a real person. And, that's where it took off.
Absolutely. So I believe that the drugs and alcohol are a symptom of a problem that's inside of me. Through your process, have you guys realized that the drinks and the drugs weren't really the issue at all?
They were the solution.
The solution, absolutely. Because I wasn't okay with me. I never felt comfortable in my own skin. I think sometimes that's an overused cliche, but it's so on point for me because my clothes never fit me right. I was never able to sit still. I was always at war with myself for whatever reason. And I grew up in a dysfunctional home with a lot of violence and verbal abuse. And those things made imprints on me. And I used those moments as defining moments for a long time in my life until I realized that I was in charge of me and how I felt. I'm not responsible for what happened to me, but I am responsible for my healing and my progression through life to find value and be the person that I've always meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, Daniel. It was my solution. I didn't want to be on. I didn't want to, and I didn't have the confidence to talk to women or whatever it was, or be the life of the party. And so, it was that solution. I couldn't host an event without having a couple drinks. I couldn't be out in a collective of more than 2 other people without, having a couple drinks and any of it. So yeah, and once you become known as the fun guy, well, then you start to kind of live it and okay, well, other people like me this way, regardless of if I like me or not, which I didn't. So yeah, it was the solution.
Yeah.
Or at least I feel like they like me when I'm drunk.
Right.
We're always a little bit funnier, or a little bit more intelligent, a little better looking than what we actually are, right? That liquid courage. Boy, it's caused so much collateral damage in my life. And I kept trying to recapture how it felt in the beginning, but I never was able to recapture those good times and that warm, fuzzy feeling and just feeling okay in that moment. It quickly turned on me. Can you relate to that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it turned on me, like a long time before I actually knew that it did. I remember being really young and for some reason for me, I always wanted to gravitate towards the rough crowd, and I don't have an explanation as to why that is. There was a lot of groups that, a lot of the other kids and teenagers, they wanted to hang out with me, but I don't know. There was something about, I gotta be part of this crowd. And, and I wasn't okay if I didn't get drunk. If I later on in my using, I remember I'd go to a rave or something and I'd drop my pills on the ground or something and they'd be gone and my night was ruined. I didn't have, there was no other reason for me to be out because I wasn't loaded. So there was just absolutely no way that I could have fun. And, it took me a little while into my recovery to realize that, that was a delusion that the voice in my head was telling me. So,
yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. It's I'm sure I recognized long before, but where it's like that fourth drink, and if you would kill someone for a fifth, and they say the bar is closed, well, what happened to last call, and you get pissed off because they won't serve you one more, and they've already done it. That's it's kind of the point that it got to. And what the hell am I doing out when I got to work the next day till 2 a.m. anyways? So I think it was just. Seeing that abundance of just irresponsible, selfish, ego-driven living, not being concerned for anyone else's thoughts, feelings, trying to, like you said, Higgy, get back to that initial feeling, like why wasn't at one point in my life 1 or 2 was enough? Heck, there's times I didn't even want 1. When did it take off to this point of, I had to be obliterated or nothing?
Right. Yeah. I think for me, I needed that social lubricant too. I wasn't okay. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't feel like I had any value for real. And the illusion in my head that I was funnier, smarter, I could talk to women, and it really did. It turned on me because I stopped being that guy, and it consumed me, and it brought out the worst possible traits that anyone could ever fathom. I just wasn't myself. And I totally agree with what you guys are talking, sharing about. And it's such a complex, multifaceted problem that I believe I have to have a multifaceted solution. I'm a program guy as well, but I'm using other things to supplement my recovery that adds value to my life. Like the energy healing, hypnosis. Things I have never tried before. Trauma therapy. I'm on this path of self-awareness and self-education so that I can make the rest of my life the best of my life. I'm trying to salvage the rest of my life because that old life is dead. It leads nowhere. There's no value. I have no sense of purpose. Just blind. And life is too short to be in a blackout, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not how I want mine to come to an end. It's not the end of the story that I want.
Yeah, it's interesting. I hear people say that they wasted so much time, and it was all for nothing. And like I always like to challenge that, because to me, lived experience is an education second to none. I don't think I wasted anything. Like all of those experiences that I had, they were teaching me valuable lessons. That's given me the opportunity to carry a message today. So without all of that time, all of that wasted time that people talk about, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't have the gifts in my life that I do have. The cars on I owned a welding company, and I had cars, and I had a welding truck, and I had a house, and I had all of the things. I had money in the bank. And if someone said I could get that all back to you, but you can't keep the memories, I'd say no thanks. I keep the car, keep the cars and the money and all of that. I'll keep what I have. Thanks. I need the pain. The pain pushes me forward.
Yeah. The things are nice. Sure. It's nice, but yeah, I mean, like you said, Daniel, how can I sit and relate? There was a young gentleman at work there at Parents and Addicts in Need, and he comes in, and he was a fentanyl addict, and he'd OD'd twice, and we were talking with him about Narcan, but how could I relate to that guy if I hadn't been through what I was? And and he's like, man, thanks for helping me open up a little here, and we're gonna do some talking with him, and his interest is to take his story and be a purpose. So sitting and talking how to do that with media and multimedia and stuff. But I wouldn't trade this. Like near the beginning, I'm a grateful alcoholic, and I'll share it loudly, proudly, from the moon and back.
So let's talk about the blessings in recovery. What are some of you guys' blessings that have come into your life as a result of putting down the drinks and the drugs and self-educating yourself on this disease? Daniel?
Man, I mean, how much time do we got?
Right.
Like seriously, the first 3 years were really hard. The gifts that I had was, clearly I had the opportunity to be a father, but learning all of that. Did somebody? there's like 3 kids in the house today, and like every once in a while I hear a screech and I hear like a yell and stuff, and then I'm half expecting them to all come barreling in here all at once. But if you want to,
that'd be okay too.
If you want to talk about gifts of recovery,
thank you, Dave.
There are three children in my house today, and they are safe.
Yeah,
they are safe in this home, and I'm safe. There's nobody looking for me. I'm not getting text messages telling me which lights are on in my house at 4 o'clock in the morning, because they're watching me or whatever. Wow. I'm not being held hostage. I'm not, I'm not worried about my partner being out on the street. She's home with us safe, and she's got 4 years in too. This platform that has been coming up around me, I would have never had this opportunity had I not stopped using. And this is what brings stability to my family now. Like, who really, like, this is we're in Saskatoon. There's like, this isn't like a big bustling metropolis. And here I am with the opportunity to carry a message to a lot of people,
Yeah. You're touching a lot of lives with your platform, and just being a walking, talking representation and example of what recovery can look like for people.
Yep. I to mirror like off of what Daniel's saying is that restoration of integrity, that if I say something,
say that again,
the restoration of integrity, that if I say something, that people know that I'm going to do it, unless there is really, some unforeseen circumstances, whatever that may be. I can sit and tell my kids, my girlfriend, hey, I'm going to do this and I will be back at this time or whatever it is. And there's not questions there. There's not, are you sure? Who are you with? It's that I've been able to build that foundation with the people that matter the most. And there's no questions anymore. There's no worry that it's, I'm going to disappear or, be passed out on a buddy's couch and, all those things that were repeating patterns and habits. And I think that is such an integral part when you get that in your recovery and start to notice. I know most people, I don't know about you guys, maybe after about a year or so, you really start to maybe see that and see those that are close to you, that they notice it too, and the behaviors start to change. And that I think is incredibly powerful and an amazing gift. In addition to this platform and the building community, gentlemen like yourself, and I know we've talked to some of the same folks, and it's really neat to have Higgy, Daniel, that they're great. I love being on their show or whatever it is. I mean, watching the intro and seeing like Tim Ryan and Jennifer Jimenez and Matt Gannam and all these people that I've developed relationships and so that community that comes with it too, that's just beautiful, that you can shoot a message to at any time. I mean, you and I talk, 6 in the morning and sometimes at 11 at night. So
right.
Always available. To build a little bit off of what Jason was saying there, to rebuild that trust. Another moment happened for me a little while ago. I was out for supper with my mother, and my mother has been with me through it all, right? And we were in the restaurant and we're sitting there, and she went to the washroom and she left her purse behind. And I was like, I mean, I always joke and say, but there wasn't anything good in it anyways. But, right? But no, that's a rebuilding that trust, like 5 years ago, she'd have never left that purse. She'd have clutched that thing like it was life and death. But, we've come to a place now where, like I have a key to her home. Like I can go and let her dogs out if she's going to be late for work or coming home from whatever, So that's where my mind went when I was listening to Jason talk there.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, that is truly beautiful, man. Let me see. I had a thought and I lost it.
I got a pad and paper here now. I do, like when I go live now, I always try to have that there because that happens to me. I'll be starting to have conversations and I'll have this like, oh, we should talk about that, and then.
Let me see.
Oh,
I have notes.
The page is empty. I didn't write anything down, and I've forgotten at least 5 things. I forgot to write it down.
Oh, heck.
That's what's good about doing this with friends, because everything's so comfortable. It's not forced. And I really appreciate you guys jumping on here.
Yeah.
There's so much value in community. You know, where would we be without a community? You know, I'd still be, I don't know that I would be alive if I didn't have community around me to support me, to tell me the truth about myself, even if it hurts us both. You know what I mean? That rigorous honesty is something that can't be replaced in my life today. You know, I was thinking for myself, the blessing, one of the best blessings for me is that I feel like I'm worthy of love, to give it, feel it, and receive it. And I lived numb for so long, and being able to walk into my purpose. And even though I have doubts about myself from time to time, I have that critical inner voice that's telling me that, you know, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fall on my face, or I'm going to relapse again. You know, being able to combat that negativity with action. I can take action today to prevent myself from falling into these deep, dark holes of depression. Even though I am depressed, I know it won't last forever, and that, you know, better days are coming. And I don't stretch out those 5 bad minutes into a whole day episode. You know, I can practice the pause. I can reach out to friends. I'm able to actually pick up the phone and text somebody or call them and tell them that I'm not okay. You know, I don't carry that whole burden of trying to figure it out by myself any longer. You know, I'm not alone, and no one else out there is either. You know, the 3 of us were available through Messenger or whatever means you need to communicate with us. You can always get an encouraging word and an ear if you're struggling, and that's the power of community.
Yeah, and some new tools. You know, through this, I've I don't know if you guys have talked with Matt Gardner. I think you have, Daniel, right? Matt Gardner, he's up there in Canada as well.
Sounds really familiar, and I probably have, but for some reason, I'm pulling a blank right now. If I haven't, I should.
He does some really great work, and he invited me to do join a class that he does, and so it was through that we did some story work, and to let people know, if you haven't done story work, it's, you know, he asked a specific question, write it out as if we were conversational, and I realized how negative I view myself in this question, and we broke it down in a way to turn that negative perspective into a positive and empower me through this. And I was really blown away. But well, like you said, Higgy, without this sense of community, I wouldn't have had this opportunity and learned a new tool that when I'm thinking negative, I can sit, I can write it out, look at it, go, wow, this is some negative BS. And I can find a way to positively verbalize my self-perception and take, like you said, a 5-minute, not go, my whole day has ruined, my day sucked, and go, nah, I had a couple bad minutes. That's it. You know? But you learn these new tools. And so, yeah, keep your community growing, reach out to new people, learn new skills, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, Higgy, you're like, you got to do some breath work. You got to get this out. So, okay, I'm learning these things. And yes, it works.
It does. There's multiple things you can use to supplement and make your recovery better. Bring it, elevate it, bring it to the 2.0 version.
That's right. And there's so many beautiful people like you two gentlemen and others that are out there that have different tools and skill sets that we have yet to acquire, that they're willing to share. All you got to do, right? Ask for help. Ask for that help, and keep asking for help.
Maybe I'm going to stray off into the sticks here, but something popped into my head, and I think it might be worth talking about. When I was lost in my addiction, and even early in my recovery, if I found somebody that was having success in their life, I would not want to be around them. I don't know if maybe you guys can relate to that. But in my recovery, and since I've started this project, I've come to be attracted to people who are having success doing the things that I want to do. You know, like they say in the program, if you want what he has, do what he does, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's why when I see Higgy or when I see Jason and I see what you're doing, I'm not like, I want to compete with you. I'm like, I want to partner with you. And it's come to a place where it's like, you can't compete with me because I want you to win too.
Yes.
You know,
I'm with that. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, comparison is a thief of joy. You know, I don't compare myself like I used to other people. And when I do, I shut it down because I'm doing the absolute best I can today. And I'm not done yet. Every day is going to get better as long as I keep working on myself and connect with other people like yourself to push me forward, to feed my ambitions and not feed my fears. That we were talking about honesty. I think these relationships we build are based on honesty. Who we are, our true colors, on who we are today, and we're trying to be the best versions of ourselves that we could be, but be real about it. This is not a fantasy land. It's not all rainbows and unicorns and butterflies and all of that. There's some real hard work to be done, and there's going to be some tough moments that come up. But to be able to work through those, even if they're not to the outcome that we anticipate, we make it through them. And we don't self-sabotage ourselves. We don't harm ourselves. We don't put our family in harm's way. There's a solution to every problem we face today, even if it's not the outcome that we're looking for.
Yeah. No, Daniel, I didn't, I never thought about that really till you brought it up. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. Because I didn't think I was worth anything different. Like, okay, but I'm sober. Well, no, I was dry. I wasn't sober. I wasn't working it. I just wasn't drinking. But once I started to really work it, that's when I got out of my own way,
Absolutely.
And these beautiful friendships came about, Higgy, I was inspired by your story, right? How our friendship came about, and just through texting, and we were just there for each other. That's it. That's it. That's all it was. So
Alexis, I love that quote. It's true and so important to remember, especially while using social media, watching everyone's highlights. Right.
Oh, good point. A lot of those pictures don't share the whole story, do they?
Yeah, no. There's a saying, and it goes, "Don't compare someone else's outsides to your insides."
Absolutely. Yeah,
go ahead, Hig. Sorry.
I was going to say that, when you were talking about not being drawn to the people that were being successful and happy, that's about comparing how we feel on our insides to what they're presenting. It should be an ambition. I want to display that. I don't want to feel like this. And take away from the representative. I can't even think of the right word. The example that we're seeing. Someone that's being successful, that has been through the gutter like us. I'm drawn to that as well. I love connecting with people. I love talking with people. Connection is the opposite of addiction. And the connection piece is so powerful.
Yeah. No, and that's such a difficult thing. And Daniel, I know you as a dad probably seen it, but I definitely do in my home, of that comparison factor. And, it's tough to watch, because I did that. And now watching, one of my children do that, and, just doing the best you can to be there for them. And, this child in particular accomplished some work the other day and was like, I feel really good about that. I'm like, see, I told you that's where self-esteem is built, and
do esteemable things, right?
Yeah. So if we sit in that comparison of somebody's, like you said, Daniel, somebody's outsides to our insides, we're never going to win. We're never going to win. But once you accept, hey boys, once you accept, these are the only fingerprints, our eyes, all this stuff. It's the only one to ever exist in history and ever will. And like how wonderful, rare, and unique we are, and special. It's you become pretty empowered.
Absolutely. What do you think, Daniel?
I agree. Like, there's a term, stay in your lane, pick a gear. And yeah, and we get so lost in I remember thinking early on in my recovery, and you'd go into the rooms and you'd see the people that had some time in, and, they're having success and stuff. And now, even to this day, if someone has like a big success at 2 years of sobriety, and I didn't have mine until 4 years of sobriety, I'm like, well, I'm starting to look like, okay, well, what didn't go right in your life then? Let's talk about that. So, and I catch myself still doing that to this day, but I find like the more that I stay in my own lane and the more I try to be, the more I use my assets to serve others as opposed to serving myself and pushing others away, the better my life gets. And I'm not talking about financials or anything in particular, just all around. Like if I use the gifts that are given to me to serve community, doors blow open, man. Like that's
Absolutely.
just, the spirit of service. Like that's a thing. They teach you service in the program. There's a good damn reason for that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That helps us build our integrity, right?
Yeah. And again, you don't know, we don't know the impact. And, I don't know about you. I liked everything so measured and statistics and give me give me the facts, give me the data. And this is some stuff that you can't quantify because you just don't know. You don't know. I know that we just saw Boyce King there pop on, beautiful man, his story, his family, and just that being open. And, he's helped me probably more than maybe I've helped him, to let him know that if he's still watching. And, that's the beautiful gift. We just don't know. So like Daniel said, just keep being in the service, get out of your own way.
Alexa says, yes, I related to what Daniel said. I was so guilty of comparison and it left me so depressed. Grateful to be able to just appreciate and root for others wherever they or I am on my journey. Amen to that.
Yeah, exactly. And
I think the best thing I ever did was take responsibility for my own healing in my own life, therefore taking control of my journey. I don't know where it's going to end, how it's going to end, but nowhere in the middle where am I going to be giving up. Yeah.
Well, and I think Higgy, you hit on something so important that this is a self-responsibility, We were the ones that generally, I don't know about you guys, I usually was the purchaser of whatever my substance was, not somebody else bringing it to me per se.
Nobody ever reverse robbed me.
Yeah, exactly.
Forced it down my throat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take all my drugs. I'll kill you.
Exactly.
This is more like here. The cops are coming.
Flush this. So it's our responsibility in the process. Again, there's so many great people, the community is there, but that's why it's do the work, and you're going to have to do it. And like you said, Hig, some of it's going to be tough, but it's about that mastery of self that hopefully we can continue to carry through until, we meet our maker, whatever that is. And hopefully we all get a long time to do a lot of good work.
And I hope so too. I want to be here for the long haul. I want to be interacting and supporting you guys and the community overall to the best of my ability without causing harm to myself. How hard has balance been for you guys to implement your life?
Hard.
Is balance even a reality? I don't feel that it is, because balance is like, for me, balance is like serenity. Once you achieve it, it's quickly fleeting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I never get balance right. The nature of who I am, as I know myself today, this could change in a day or two, who knows, but it's I'm an all or nothing kind of guy, just as in my addiction, as I am to today in recovery. I believe that I will never get rid of that drive. Wanting to feel better is not a defective character, and we all want to feel better, and I just got lost along the way, and I thought I found the thing that made me feel better, and it gave me that instant gratification that, many of us want, but I found a new way to make myself feel better. And sometimes, a lot of times, I get lost in that new thing, and that new thing is building this platform. It's hard for me to put my phone down, really hard. You got to keep up with the comments. So you got to, you got to do the shares, you got to make the memes, you got to do the reels, you got to do, all of these things. And then when you have one that pops and goes viral, that's the fix, bro. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
that rush of dopamine,
yeah.
reward.
So absolutely, I'm still chasing things. Absolutely, I am. and I've pointed it in a healthy direction. And, like, I have not arrived. I am not cured. I am still a human being, and I still have struggles. And that's one of them, is to find balance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's ironic you brought this up, though. Some of the work I was doing yesterday, the self-work, was on balance, and same thing, waiting, like, I know this is good. I know this has value. Why is it not getting more attention? And it's that dangerous obsession that I have to put in check, that, okay, so maybe 10,000 people didn't like this, or even 1,000, but 20 did, 50 did, maybe more watched, and there is value in it for them. I don't know. Did that maybe help someone start their sober journey, continue another 24? I don't know unless they tell me. Some do, right. and I'm grateful for that. That's why I put it out there. So I have to throw it into perspective oftentimes, because I do, I'm like, I've had Charlie Sheen on twice, damn it, why don't I have 20 million watches and listens?
Where's my Lambo?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
come on, Kat Von D, I sat in her house with her. Come on, people, get on board. And I just have to go, well, no, the ones that did hopefully found that great value in it, and if they choose to share, they choose to share. If it grows, it grows. That's out of my hands. As long as I keep doing things that in my heart I feel are value, that helps me with balance. But I do get the same obsessions as Daniel. I need to have these reels done. I need to have this. I need to have that. The next great guest, and and those are kind of selfish things for me. Every single person that's been on the podcast, I'm sure on your guys' platform, has been amazing in their own way. That doesn't matter. They could be, George, the guy that works in sanitation. He's just as valuable as any of the big
Some
names.
guy named George that works in sanitation is like, what'd you call me?
I don't mean to devalue you, George.
Yeah.
My point being is that everyone's story and everyone's share and perspective can bring just as much value. Doesn't matter what you do for a living or how well your name's known. So I have to keep that in perspective, but I definitely snowball into the, what the heck? I'm putting out all this great content where,
it's not happening fast enough.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted it my time. And how did that work for any of us, right?
It left us wanting.
Yeah. What's that saying? Want to make God laugh? Tell him your plan. So
exactly.
Oh, he knows my plan.
Yeah. What about you, Higgy? What do you struggle with balance?
Oh boy, time management, attention to detail. Like we started this live, and I didn't assign spots for it. I got to talking with you guys. I just hit the live button. I had to do it all over again. That's why we were late. But I get caught up doing multiple things. Got my hands in multiple areas, and when people reach out to me, I have to know what my limits are. I give of myself. I'm an empath. I feel energy and feelings, which was confusing for me for a large portion of my life. But I want to help, and I didn't know how to say no. So I'm learning the power of saying no, and it is a complete sentence, and it saved me so much time from making up a story, why I can't do this, I can't do that, or doing something that I don't want to do because I didn't have the ability to say no. Codependency is something that I struggle with as well. I feel satisfaction from being acknowledged and needed, and that's not a healthy mindset to have when you're in the helping field. You have to have boundaries, in your personal life, your professional life, in your recovery. You have to have boundaries that will keep you safe, keep you in the middle. I was told you just stay in the middle of the herd, and it'll keep you from being picked off from the outside or falling off. And that's what I'm doing. I just want to be in the middle, surrounded by people that if I need help, or I'm just feeling some kind of way, I'm exhausted again, people will tell me, take a break. Nothing that you're doing today is so important that it needs to take that toll on you again. So balance is really, really hard. Like I said, it's just like serenity, when you're feeling you're okay with everything. Once you're there, it's quickly fleeting once we achieve it. So I think we're always in a struggle for balance and implementing boundaries as well.
Yeah. Daniel, how do you avoid burnout? I get burnout sometimes.
I try to take, like, I get up really early in the morning. I'm up at 4 a.m. And it's not because I set an alarm. It's just that's when I wake up. I'm woken up and I got sick of trying to toss and turn and go back to sleep. And one day I just found some acceptance and got up, and then I found things to do. But I make sure that I go to great lengths to make sure that I get an hour in the afternoon to just lay there, watch, I don't know, Peaky Blinders or Explained or something. Just shut the brain off, take the dog out for a walk. Sometimes I live a couple of blocks away from the river here, and I don't know if you guys know are this way too, but you get close to water and there's just something there.
Yes. That's why I like living by the ocean. I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful.
I got a couple of Sea-Doos this summer. I was blessed to have the stability in my life that I was able to afford some luxuries for my family. And like, they're not brand new or anything. They're actually like 25 years old, but they run and they're fun.
That's all that matters.
So,
it's all that matters.
I agree. And we go out on the river and you carve around, you splash each other, and you take the kids out on the tube, and like, I had to find something that I didn't have to force myself to do. You know what I mean? Like, I had to find a hobby. I had to find something to get me out of the studio that I looked forward to doing.
That would do it. I love that.
And that's different things on different days. Like, sometimes it's as simple as watching Netflix for a while, have a nap,
Unplug, right?
Unplug, and other times, I go out on a motorbike or something, we do with what we have. So I don't know.
And you got a motorcycle. You just got your license, didn't you?
I got my learners. Yeah. I got my learners.
Have you ever ridden before?
Not before I got this bike. And I just got a cheap bike, just something that it's all dented up and stuff. If
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, the instructor said, I went to a safety course. He's like, you're going to dump your bike 6 times. I'm like, how do you know? He's like, you're going to do it. And then I dumped his bike. I broke the handle off, and then he gave me the handle to keep as a souvenir. So yeah. So everybody was dumping their bikes. There was like 15 of us in this like starting learners safety course thing. Everybody was dumping their bikes. It was fun.
Alexis just popped something up there, Higgy, about the boundaries being really tough. One of your guys' brain on this. The more authentic I got with myself, the more I found boundaries with others and with myself, most of all, to become easier. The more I got true with who I am at my core, the more I was able to set those boundaries. It could be as simple as, sure, I'll come out to meet you guys for dinner, but sun goes down 9 o'clock. I know that the bar fills up and most people are there for drinking. At that point, I'm out.
Nothing good ever happens after 9 p.m.
Yeah,
everyone
exactly.
knows that.
Yeah. So or whatever it could be. Maybe it's like you said, Higgy, with codependency, is recognizing that who I'm codependent with, which is codependency can be a manipulation tool from one person to another because you don't come genuine, authentic, and honest. Would this interaction with this person survive if I'm my genuine self? And there's been many occasions where the answer is no. I wish them no harm, love them, but you're going to go over there. So Alexis, I just encourage you to continue to work it, see your authentic self, and like Higgy said, no period is an answer, or it could look I can't do that, but I can do this, whatever it is. You get to have a say in those interactions, with people and how it's going to go and what your line is. So, you don't.
I can't do it right now, but maybe somewhere down the road.
Sure. Yeah.
What about the first time that someone got angry with you and you still had a good day?
Oh,
and you didn't have to wear that all day long and let it take up space in your mind. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I used to get in fist fights just because.
Whoa,
you know what I mean? Because I couldn't express myself, and I took everything as an attack.
Mhm.
And I always tell everybody, I wasn't born with this nose.
Yeah, mine neither. Actually, if you look at mine, you can see mine's a little crooked too. I crashed a tow truck into a tree.
Oh, Jesus. Mine was from basketball. Got it broke twice. So I guess, mine wasn't the street fights, Higgy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really important. Daniel, what a good point. I another thing I hadn't thought of, but there's been many times that's occurred, and I just look for the lesson in it. Like, why were they mad? Was it about them? Was it really something I did? And if it was, then I examine it. And if I need to make an amends, I do. And if I don't, then I don't. Because people will dump on us. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people want to manipulate us to get what they want. And
Everybody wants to get what they want.
Yeah. Don't manipulate me to get it. or try to manipulate my feelings or turn to insults or whatever. I mean, I'm okay with who I am today. And it's taken me a very long time to get to this point where I'm okay with saying no without feeling guilty for it. Like I should be giving more of myself. You're awake, you have energy, you can do that,
Right.
and there's no self-care in that whatsoever.
No, I refuse to be snorted by someone.
What?
I will not. I refuse to be snorted. I will not be somebody's drug.
Huh.
I thought you said extorted.
No,
That too, probably.
that too.
I don't want to be extorted either.
No, and people can. I mean, people can be addicted to people. I'm pretty sure I know I was, especially when I've talked about the sex and love addiction part, more the love, but the sex was there too. And, I will not be a drug, and I will not treat another person as a drug.
That's huge. That's a revelation, right?
Yeah. It was a tough one to come to, because then I had to realize I wasn't being that good of a guy in certain settings, But
yeah. That honest self-appraisal.
yes.
Mhm.
Okay, we're about an hour and 15 minutes. This has been a great conversation. I would really like to do it again.
Absolutely. We'll do
So,
mine next. I call next. We'll do the next one on my page. Called it dibs.
All right. We'll go mine third.
All right.
We'll run it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get Flint in here too. We should get Flint on. Yeah,
I would
you'll
love
dig
to have
Daniel, you'll dig Flint.
Let's do it.
Roundtable discussion. That'd be great.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So one at a time. Daniel, what encouraging words do you have for someone out there that's struggling, doesn't know whether they want to try recovery, or just their life is just sucking right now? What positive words could you share with them right now?
Oh, just full screen like that, hey? Just
Yeah.
There's no distraction. It's all Daniel.
Are you ready for your close-up, Daniel?
Yeah. No, you kind of caught me a little bit off guard there. I could drop all the cliches in the world, like, reach out and don't stop till the miracle happens. But what I will say is, if you're not familiar with the literature that I'm familiar with, there is a saying that says, there's these promises, and there'll be a promise that you will find a fulfilling life. And if you trust a process that is outside of yourself, something other than yourself, if you can't believe in something bigger than yourself, at least believe in something other than yourself until you get your feet under you. If you can find a place where there are a couple of people that can help you think a safer way, I would go running to that. And if you don't want to stay, then don't stay, but try to come back and try to find something that works. If you don't change anything, nothing will change, and you will be stuck where you are forever.
Forever. And there's a good chance that you will not survive.
And I'm off the screen now, and I feel better about that.
I apologize.
Put Jason on the big screen now.
Hey, there we go. I think it's important to just think about growth, and from the time that we're born, growth is a painful process, physically, mentally, emotionally, and it's not going to end. And through this process of recovery, you're going to go through some painful times, and you might want to give up, but you're going to work through that thing because you survived all your hardest days up until this point. I mean, keep going forward. I mean, that's really what the term knocking doors down has become about. Keep going through that next one. It might be hard to open, might have 75 locks on it. You got to figure out to pick, but you're going to continue to get more new tools. Hit the meetings, the sponsor, whatever it is that might work for you, but just, keep doing it, keep pushing through the discomfort, the pain, because it's going to change. And I encourage anyone that is questioning it or new to it, write it out, measure your growth so you can reflect back and see. And you never know who's going to end up with your journals. I mean, I have the fortunate thing, like Daniel, that as a dad, my kids can go back, and if I have grandkids or my nephews that are grown men now, can see these things, and hopefully the stuff that we create can live on and inspire. We don't know. So just keep going through it. You just don't know what gifts you have yet that you're going to be able to offer someone else, and it will trickle sideways or upwards, not downwards. I don't like to look at it that way, that you're going to help elevate other people. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful process.
Absolutely. 1000%. You guys nailed it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for chiming in the comments. We're going to do this again. This was a test run. I think it went really well.
I agree.
So
Third that.
Alexis says, so glad I caught you guys. God bless and enjoy your birthday, Higgy. Thank you, dear. I love you.
Alexis.
Yeah. I know that Boyce. Oh, there he is.
Really made my day. Would love to tell my story as much as possible. Beautiful.
Oh.
Hold on. Where's she at? Look at her.
Get this guy's head in here too. There we go.
There we go. There you go.
This is my son
Beautiful.
Graydon. This is my daughter Kendra.
Beautiful.
Oh,
They did so good. You guys give them a hand for how good and how quiet they were. Yeah.
did awesome. I love it.
And this is
That's
Bob.
beautiful. It looks
All
like
right.
me in the morning.
Just like you. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Higgy. I love you, Daniel.
Yes. Happy birthday.
It's
Thank you,
been
guys.
great to have a growing friendship with you as well, man. And just keep it up, man. I'm proud of both of you. So very proud.
Thank you. Thank
Likewise.
you. You guys' support means the world to me. Thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. I'm grateful. Grateful our paths cross and we're on this journey together.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for chiming in the comments. Thank you for all the sharing. You guys, please give Knocking Doors Down and Hard Knox Talks a follow, a like and a follow. Share their content. Help us get this message out as far and wide as possible. We love you guys. Have a great day.
Take care.
All right.